Hey again everyone, it's Sylvia Sheila Lynn, and this is part 2 of my previous video. I was talking about 30 things that I used to always have or always buy, and now I do not purchase anymore as a minimalist. The video was getting too long, so I decided to split it into 2 parts. I already talked about the first 15 things. Now I will share with you the other half of the list, the last 15 items. You can watch part 1 right here. Just click this link, or if you have already seen that, then let's continue. Number 16, I stopped buying gift wrappers, ribbons, greeting cards, and stationeries. There was a corner in our home once upon a time where we would have gift wrappers for Christmas, for birthdays, for weddings, etc., and matching ribbons and greeting cards, and then some stationeries for notes or whatever. I still give some gifts. Like recently, yes, I can still remember giving gifts, but I use recycled stuff as wrappers, or like reuse a decent paper bag to put the gift in. Sometimes if I find myself really wanting for my gift to look special, like when it's for a wedding, I let the gift wrapping section of the store where I bought it wrap it for me, or I buy a paper bag fit for that specific gift for that certain occasion. So like I don't keep extra wrappers in our home anymore, and I don't store ribbons and extra greeting cards anymore, because from experience it creates a lot of clutter and it takes years before it actually gets used up. They are also overpriced, and more often than not, or I guess all the time, wrappers and cards end up in the trash. Very recently, I stopped buying body lotion because I discovered that my toddler's body moisturizer, which also happens to be my facial moisturizer, can be my body lotion as well. It's also moisturizing enough, because there was a time when my skin would become so dry depending on the weather. And I experimented on a lot of different lotions. I ended up having so many unused lotions at one point. So now I'm sticking to our Cetaphil moisturizing cream and stopped buying body lotions that are scented, colored, whitening, or whatever. Also, just like what I said in my previous video, I love products that I can use for multiple purposes. Next on the list, waxing kits. I used to always have a waxing kit with me in my closet for my underarms. So there was a time when I would do it all, heat it up, spread some wax, take off my underarm hair all by myself for several years. One of my best investments was definitely having my underarms lasered, and since then I never needed to wax myself anymore, so I stopped buying waxing kits for a really long while now. Number 19 would be hair products, specifically hair mousse and hairsprays. My sister and I liked using hair mousse when we had our hair permed several years ago, so we always had hair mousse around. I also owned a hairspray for when I was still a student nurse and when I did ballet. So that was when I performed and did shows, but like I said, I don't do that anymore, so I stopped buying stuff for our hair. Okay, to be fair, I used to purchase winter clothes because it was freezing in our office way back when I was working in the BPO industry, and because we used to travel. Now I really don't need it anymore, and we haven't been traveling, so I let go of a lot of my winter clothes and kept one black trench coat, 2 jackets, and 1 beanie. I cannot see myself traveling anytime soon, so I guess it will be quite a while before I see myself purchasing winter clothes again. This next one is actually weird, like so weird, but yes, I only recently stopped buying DVDs, as in those CDs or discs that we used to purchase so we could listen to music and watch movies. The last time I bought a DVD was, I guess, in the year 2019. That's so recent. And it was a CD of the show Ancient Aliens, but we didn't even have a DVD player, so I never got to watch it, and I figured I can definitely watch Ancient Aliens on TV or what, so I don't know what I was thinking. I never bought DVDs ever again, and aside from the fact that DVDs and CDs will need storage space in your home, well, everything is on the internet, so I guess, yeah, I'm never buying CDs ever again. I also only recently stopped buying notebooks. Before, I would spend time in bookstores and like the stationery section of the department store looking for cute notebooks and journals or organizers, And even if I had one, or even if I had some at home, I would still buy new notebooks because I wanted to have extras or because they're cute or whatever. Now I wait for them to come as gifts because a lot of people know I love receiving journals and dated organizers, and there are also times I get free journal from banks or from coffee shops. So I really haven't been buying notebooks anymore. Speaking of spending time in the bookstore, I also made sure to check out the books available, and I was very eager to buy almost anything with a cute cover. Now, I will never find myself buying those kinds of books or novels. Specifically, what used to be, and embarrassingly enough, my favorite genre, young adult novels. I still buy books though. My most recent purchase was Atomic Habits by James Clear and The Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday. I know if I want to reduce physical clutter in my home, I should probably start using ebooks or audiobooks, but we'll get there. I think for starters, it's good enough that I stopped buying novels and books in the YA genre and moved on to self-improvement and the productivity types of books. At least these are books my husband and I can share and we can reread in the future, and maybe even our children. I like novels and books about cheesy love stories or something. I would also be in the art material section of the bookstore looking for paint brushes, papers, crayons, colored pencils. There was this really long phase in my life when I thought I was an artist, but I guess after several years I figured I really am not. I spent so much money on these stuff, and now I am proud to say I haven't bought anything from the art material section in a really long while. The bookstore was also where we would buy board games. Right now we have several board games and like family games in general that we really haven't used in a while. I guess we have Monopoly, Jenga, Uno, those kinds of games, but it's really only me and my husband in here. I don't live with my siblings, and our toddler is still too young to know how to play these games, so we stopped buying board games and we kept the classic ones that we bought before. Right now we are deciding to just store these properly so our children can play with it together someday, but we stopped buying the new ones. Like, we really think we don't need the latest edition of Monopoly or the newest release of Uno cards. For some reason, I was also very much into hobbies, and I spent my money buying stuff like cross-stitch kits and puzzles and slimes, those kinds of things. It was always something I would initially have interest in, but never for a very long time. So when I was decluttering, I found a cross-stitch kit I never started doing, and a 1,000-piece puzzle I never got to finish. There were also other things I found that I remember I bought because it was my hobby at that time, but now I'm happy I don't find myself buying these kinds of stuff anymore. There are more important things to do. 2 years ago, I found myself buying Christmas decorations, and I remember enjoying it. I felt happy having a little corner with a tree and a Christmas stocking, something like that. But after Christmas season, we had no place for it. We ended up throwing everything away. So since then, I never bought Christmas decorations again, and any types of decors, actually. Even for our room, you won't find any painting or fake plants or aesthetic rugs. Maybe, just maybe, in the future, I would like to decorate and I would feel artsy or festive during certain seasons again someday. But as of today, at this stage of my minimalism journey, I don't see that happening anytime soon. Number 28, plants. Last year I got into plants, and thankfully it didn't last a very long time. I kept buying expensive plants and they kept dying on me. So after I bought my last Monstera Deliciosa, I stopped buying plants and just decided to take care of what I have and make sure they will stay alive. The more plants I bought, the more stuff I felt like I needed to buy for them as well, and it became more stressful seeing them die or struggle to survive. I find it better to just focus on 1 or 2 plants so that they get the most attention and proper care from me. When my husband and I were hardcore trying to be super lean and fit, we would spend money on workout supplements like protein shakes, shakers, pre-workout drinks, etc. It was during the time he was into boxing and Muay Thai, and I was into gymnastics and ballet. So this was, I guess, 4 to 6 years ago. When we decided to get pregnant, obviously I stopped working. I stopped working out that way, and we stopped buying these workout supplements because my husband has no one to share it with anymore, and he finds himself able to work out without these supplements anyway. They're also very expensive, and they might not be good for long-term use. We also stopped buying cheap electronics. I know sometimes we still need to purchase the more affordable electronics because of the budget we have, but what I mean when I say cheap electronics is literally cheap, like almost single-use stuff, almost like disposable stuff. An example would be earphones, as in like headsets. We would buy those flimsy ones that don't sound so well, and the right side gets broken after a few uses, and so we end up throwing these away and buying new ones. Some we even store just in case someone can fix them. Or power banks. We had tons of non-working power banks because we bought the cheap ones and they don't work as well, or they get broken super fast. So now I personally think of what electronics I need, what brand I should get, and just save up for it even if it takes a while, just as long as I don't spend my money on the cheaper ones anymore, because that usually means I will end up throwing it after 3 or 4 uses and I'll buy again. Cheap electronics might also harm our more expensive stuff, like for my iPhone, I make sure I only buy reliable accessories for it, because I know someone who buys chargers for her iPhone from the dollar store, or like from those chargers made in China, and her phone really doesn't work as well as mine anymore. The battery life is different, so it makes a difference and it could be damaging. So we stopped buying cheap electronics. So we are finally done with my list. It will be very interesting to look back on this list a year from now, or like a few years from now, to see if there's more I can add, or if I decide to buy some stuff I said I haven't been buying anymore. We'll see. We'll make a video about that in the future. Anyway, I would love to hear your thoughts about my list, and you can also comment below some items you think we shouldn't be purchasing anymore as minimalists. I would love to hear about your experience as well. So thank you very much for watching, especially if you also watched part 1 of this video. I hope this was able to help you. I hope this was informative, and I will see you in my next videos.